We continue following breaking news out of South Georgia, where a sergeant is accused of shooting 5 fellow soldiers this morning at Fort Stewart.
No. We're not just gonna gloss over this like it didn't happen. What just happened at Fort Stewart is the real world result of a dangerous lie we keep telling ourselves, that gun-free zones are somehow safe zones. Spoiler alert, no, they're not. This was a military base, a place full of trained soldiers, and yet a single man with a gun shot 5 of them. How the hell does that even happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened. But first, here's the news report that lays out the basic facts.
We are now getting a first look at the suspected shooter. This is a photo of 28-year-old Cornelius Radford from a previous arrest in Liberty County, Georgia. This from May. Army leaders say other troops tackled Radford after he started shooting.
We now know the name of the suspect, Sergeant Cornelius Radford, for the shooting that injured 5 people at Fort Stewart behind me here. This is the front gate. We found out from a commander general of the base that Sergeant Radford worked at an annex at the farthest part of the base from where we are now, really way up at the north end, and that the shooting involved where he worked on the base and people that he worked with. However, they would not go into any kind of motive. That's still under investigation at this point. But the 5 injured, we know that 3 were taken. They needed some sort of surgery after the shooting, but all 5 are expected to recover and their families have been notified at this point. And the Commander General gave us an update as to what's going to be going on next.
Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel.
Now, did you catch what I just caught? Let me rewind that for a second. Not literally, but figuratively. You see, this happened on a military base, a place where you think everyone was strapped, locked, and loaded. But in reality, it's a gun-free zone.
Let's move to Georgia now, because investigators are trying to figure out how an active duty serviceman brought his personal gun into Fort Stewart before shooting and injuring 5 soldiers.
Let me make this clear. He didn't grab a military issued weapon. He brought in his personal gun, which tells me a couple of things. 1, he's probably never supposed to have it on him. 2, the so-called security failed. And 3, all of those gun-free policies didn't do a damn thing to stop him from bringing it in and opening fire. Now ask yourself, how does that even happen? You're telling me the same base that brags about its high-level security can't stop a guy from walking in with his personal firearm and shooting 5 soldiers?
And they say that they felt ensured of the level of security that it takes to get on the base in the first place. They did say that it is still relatively early in the investigation, and they will likely go back and review certain things, obviously, as the rest of those who are on base will, to see if they could have done anything differently. That includes allowing a personal handgun to get onto the base in the first place, which, according to officials at that press conference, said that that's not typically protocol.
So again, we've got signs, we've got procedures, we've got protocol, but when it really mattered, all of that got bypassed, which leads to my point. Gun-free zones are an illusion, a fantasy. They're the TSA of self-defense, just enough to make you feel safe while doing almost nothing when it counts. And it wasn't the base security or the guards that stopped this guy. It was the soldiers inside the building, unarmed, caught off guard, and still willing to risk their lives.
One of the soldiers threw the suspected gunman down. Another jumped on top of the suspect to subdue him, and then 4 others tended to those who had gotten shot.
That right there is heroism. But you know what's not heroic? Forcing people to rely on hand-to-hand combat when they could have had a sidearm. These men had to physically throw themselves at a guy with a gun because no one else in that room had one. You want to know who was in the best position to stop him? The people being shot at right there when it was happening. Not backup, not someone across the base with a radio, the people in the damn room.
So I immediately sprinted over to the soldier and started rendering aid. He had been shot, and so I was rendering aid to him while First Sergeant started calling for medics.
He tried to talk down the suspected gunman, Cornelius Radford, using that de-escalation training that he's had years of practice with, and ultimately he was unsuccessful. So he then grabbed the barrel of his handgun and was able to subdue him.
This is what happens when your only option is to throw yourself into the fire because you were never given a fire extinguisher, but you had men rendering aid while others tackled the shooter. And that should piss you off, not because they didn't do enough, but because they were forced to fight like cavemen in the year 2025. Now, let's zoom out and talk about civilians. If this can happen on a military base with guards, rules, ID checks, protocols, what the hell chance do you have in a grocery store with a no guns allowed sign and 2 distracted teenagers working security? We live in a country where we act like gun-free zone signs have this magical power of Harry Potter spells, but criminals don't read signs, mass shooters don't follow rules, and the only people disarmed by these signs are you and me. It's easy to say this could have been worse, but it could have also been a lot better if just one person in that room had a gun, a concealed weapon, training, and fighting chance. We need to stop looking at safety through the lens of fantasy, because that fantasy ends the moment a lunatic decides he doesn't care about your signs or your policies or your rules. And then you're left with one question: who's actually armed and who's just a target? I've always said it before, I'd rather be in a room where I know everyone is armed versus a room where I think everyone is disarmed and someone is armed. To those soldiers who stepped up, you are absolute heroes. But let's not mistake bravery for policy. We shouldn't be relying on unarmed courage when we could be empowering trained, responsible people with the tools they need to fight back, especially on a military base. This incident was a tragic wake-up call. The question is, are we going to hit snooze again? And that right there is exactly why I say what I say, why I do what I do, why I created the I'm the Militia design that you see me wearing on this hat right now. Because when everything goes sideways, it is not the politicians, it's not the bureaucrats, and it sure as hell ain't the gun-free zone signs that save lives. It is us, the armed citizen, the armed and trained and willing individuals who step up when no one else can. That's what it means to be the militia, and why I created the design I'm the Militia, to remind you, and so that you can remind the rest of people out there what this means. So if you believe in the mindset, not just the right to bear arms, but the responsibility to protect what matters, then I'm gonna put a link in the description section of this video so you can go and grab your I'm the Militia hat. We have them in shirts, we have them in hoodies, we have them in drinkware, we have them pretty much on everything. So hit the link in the description section of this video, or check out shop.mrcolionnoir.com and grab your I'm the Militia t-shirt, hoodie, snapback. Every time you wear it, you're reminding people exactly where the real line of defense starts. With you, with me. We are the militia. One thing's for certain and 2 things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.